What have you done this week, or what were those things?
Been really working on execution. Um, I told the guys, our last 3 games have been one possession games, and in all of them, our offensive execution hadn't been good enough. Whether it's turnovers or not executing a play, and you can't have that in February. We haven't tightened up our execution nearly as well as we should, and that's on me. This time of year, a lot of games come down to 1 or 2 possessions, and our execution offensively hasn't been good. Defensively, we've been getting some good efforts, but we fall asleep at times. So it's not any one thing, but I thought execution of offense was one. 2 would be, just our defensive lapses where somebody falls asleep. And the last thing, blockouts. We have been beating people on the boards, but we've been giving up some very untimely second shots that have really hurt us.
In a lot of those games, especially against Washington, you held your timeout, let the guys play it out in those last few possessions. Just like, what is your strategy behind letting them play out in the last few minutes of the game?
Well, my strategy is we've been at this a long time, and just our percentages of the team have been better when we haven't called timeouts. This is long history. Now, this particular group ready. But, we had time to call play, and we ran what we wanted. Just tapping my head, and we got what we wanted. And I thought Will might have a shot. I was hoping Dante rolling to the basket might have a shot, and Waldo was our third look. But Will made the right play, and at least we got a good shot. I mean, it wasn't a great shot, but it was a good shot, and Waldo knocked it down.
What's just been your impressions of Dante's growth from year one when he showed up mid-year to now?
Well, first thing I want to say is we've had no one work harder this year than Dante. As far as first one to practice, last one to leave. He was here at 8 o'clock this morning working out. His work ethic has been really good. And the first thing I want to say is it's because he's healthy. The 2.5 years previous to this, he just hadn't been healthy. It's hard to put in a lot of extra work when you've got a tendonitis in your knee, or you're working a year to overcome an ACL. If you haven't gone through it, or if you haven't watched somebody go through it, especially when you're 6'11", 250 pounds, you have no idea what those guys go through. Football players that go through ACL or L tears, big bodies, it takes a while to recover. And so he's done a tremendous job working through that. Like I said, he's been our hardest worker this year, most consistent guy. It's mostly because he's been healthy. He missed 1 game with a concussion, and one when he twisted his knee warming up. But no, I'm really high on Dante. He's been unbelievable. I think he can play in the league. He's got to shoot it. We've got to spend time working on his shooting because he's got to be able to hit a 17-footer. But it's in there. He can shoot it, and it's just going to take time. There's no shortcut to being a good shooter. You got to get in the gym and you got to shoot a lot of shots. There's no shortcut. There's no magic formula. I haven't had one good shooter in 42 years. I haven't put a lot of time in. And before practice, after practice, on his own. And if Dante wants to acquire that skill, he's going to have to put a lot of time in.
It could be senior day for a lot of guys. With the COVID, they come back or not. But how do you address just the emotions of that?
I don't know what the guys will do. I don't know. We got 5 guys, I think, that it could be the last game. I think the only one that has to be is Will. So, I don't know what the guys will do, but they all want to go through senior day, so they, are all looking at their options, which in this day and age, they should. I want them to want to be here. I want them to be happy. If we're the right school for them, great. If we're not, I understand that. If they want to go pro, I understand that. But the door's open if any of them want to come back. I like working with them. They're going to class, they're doing things they should be doing, so I got no problems with any of them. But, we've been able to handle most senior days okay, but it'll be an emotional day for Will. He's played the most games of anybody here at Oregon, and You know, you got a guy that's won 2 conference championships, been to 2 Sweet 16s, won a tournament championship, was a #1 seed when it got canceled. You know, most people would take any one of those. And so he's been part of some good basketball teams, and he's been a big part of those teams. So, again, he's the only one that has to go with Jermaine and Waldo and Quincy and Dante decide. You know, that's up to them. The COVID year, you know, just opened up opportunities for guys if they want to get degrees and want to finish up right away. But if they want to go pro, and you know, I respect that option also.
Kind of going back to those late game scenarios you've been talking about, is the Washington and Washington State game something you guys talked about and then applied that in the Oregon State game?
Oh, we didn't talk that much about it. We watched film on it. You know, I mean, the plays in the Washington game, you know, the critical ones really happened at the 3-minute mark. They didn't happen late. They happened in the 3-minute mark when we had a 5-point lead. That's where we had bad possessions there. And Washington State, we got ourselves back in it and gave up 2 offensive rebounds. You know, so did we talk about those things? Yeah, I mean, we showed them on film where, you know, the critical point of a game, not necessarily the last play. You know, there's a lot of plays in the last 2-3 minutes that could lead up to that play. And so we obviously showed them film. It's a learning experience, and first time this team's been through it together, with, you know, Key being new and Jermaine being new, and, you know, guys not playing a lot of minutes in previous years. Everything's a learning experience.
I know it might not be, you know, great to be in those situations, especially against teams you want to beat, but can they be helpful for these next 2 games and moving on to Vegas?
Oh, you know, depending on how they take them, yeah. You know, learning situations. You know, that's the hard part of coaching. You don't know what it's not coaching if they're not listening. You know, it's not coaching if they don't understand what we're talking about. So I hope that stuff, you know, can help them. How important possessions are, you know, late in games. How important, you know, getting a rebound. But again, a turning point of a game can be a lot of places. I know everybody focuses in the last few possessions offensively, but any possession during the game, you know, guy picking up a 3rd foul in the first half, a guy picking up a 2nd foul in the first 4 minutes. We've had those that have greatly affected games. Turning point, I thought against UCLA here is, you know, a couple offensive rebounds to start second half, where we got stops and they got second opportunities. So a lot of things can turn a ball.
Do you anticipate Riggs Vita to play this week?
You know, he went a little bit today, and then he left, and I didn't get a chance to ask him if Clay pulled him off or if he took himself off. I don't know. But he did practice some today, so he's close. Whether he's ready to go Thursday night, I'm not sure. But he didn't practice until today. Today was his first day trying to do some live stuff. He'd been doing some shooting, but he did try to do some live stuff today. But I noticed at the end of practice he wasn't practicing, so I didn't get a chance to talk to Clay before I talked to you guys.